Today we are making a raw avocado chocolate cake. Now, this cake is absolutely fantastic because it takes about 15 minutes to make or less. It's healthy as far as cakes go, it's right up there with health. And as it only takes a few minutes to make and has a few basic ingredients, you can go from 0 to hero very quickly if you have a few guests coming around for dinner party. So there are a few basic ingredients. One is we have 200 grams of nuts. Now you can use cashews, pecans, whatever you want. I tend to use the bag of mixed nuts. It's just a 200 gram bag because those are the cheapest. And I feel that way you're actually getting a mix of nuts, so you're actually getting the best health. And these guys were soaked for 6 hours prior to use. Breaks down the old enzymes and it helps in the old digestion. Then we got some dates. These guys, again, soak them for 20 minutes prior to use. Now what we're making here with all the nuts is actually the base of the cake. Also, I'm going to add in just some dissected coconut. Now, coconut doesn't actually need to be added here, just add it for a bit of extra flavour. 30 grams, but everything in this recipe is very much just like, you know, to feel. So I'm going to add a little pinch of salt. Salt, don't know if you know this, but salt always brings out the sweetness. There's the golden ratio when you're making food, and it is a mix between the kind of salt and sugar. Obviously here we only have natural sugars, but salt is still going to bring out that flavour, get the real punch. Okay, that gets blended up. Once you get that blended up, we're going to get that into our base. So I like to just have one of these little trays, and the reason I like this is because I don't actually have a cake tin. So I like this because it's a necessity. But if I did have a cake tin, or if you have one, then just use that. Unfortunately I don't. So I'm going to use just a baking tray. It's the smallest baking tray I have. And obviously you can use your hands here if you're clean. Make sure you wash your hands first. I did. Now at this point, you just want to spread it out, a kind of rough spread at the beginning. Get it all lined up slightly evenly around your baking tin or cake base, whatever you happen to have. And then we're going to use a cup or something that's got a nice flat base to kind of pat it down. Now one of the things is that we'll want to stick to the cup. But in order for you to keep it away from sticking to the cup, you actually can just twist the cup. Very slight twist. That's going to keep that from sticking. Now another thing I could have added in on this base is just a little bit of coconut oil as well. Coconut oil, once you put that in the fridge and it actually goes hard, is going to really help the base to set. However, you don't really need it, so put it in, don't. The recipe, you can really be quite wild with this recipe and just like, you know, add your own things in, mix it about as you want. Once you've got the base, all like this, then the crusts can get a little bit more crusty. And that is us with the base. Time to move on with the chocolate. For the chocolate, we start out with 2 ripe avocados. The seeds out of them. Now avocado seems like an odd thing to put in a dessert. However, you can actually, for chocolate mousses or anything, it becomes a bit like that once you blend it in with the cocoa. So, here. A lot of people stopped eating avocado a while ago, like a few years ago. It had a bad rep as being full of fat, but it's all the old healthy fats. You know, not all fat is bad. Avocado's a good one. I was going to get some coconut oil. Now, coconut oil in Scotland, you do have to melt the coconut oil. Often what I do to melt it is I'll just shove a cup in the microwave. I'll just cook the actual cup alone, and then I'll add the coconut oil into that, because the coconut oil, rather than radiating it in the microwave, which studies, you know, I don't know whether you do or do not believe how great microwaves are, I figure why chance it. So I radiate the cup, add the coconut oil to that, and then melt it. If you're in a hotter country, perhaps you have the wonderful experience of having coconut oil, which is already soft. That though, here, our coconut oil in Scotland is much more like a kind of brick. What else are we going to do? The cocoa now. Now the cocoa is about 100 grams. Again, just you know, whatever you feel like when you flavour it. It's a bit roughly 100 grams. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is perhaps 100 grams. We're going to put some sweetener. Now sweetener, I am using maple syrup. You use what you want. You can use artificial sweeteners. You can use cocoa sugar. You can actually use brown sugar. Or if you just want to make it a little bit less healthy, you can just use normal sugar. But I'm actually going to use some maple syrup here. Also, at this point, again, as before, a pinch of salt. I've got some sea salt. A vanilla pod. Now, vanilla pods, obviously, we're getting a wee bit fancy with the vanilla pods. Not everyone has a few vanilla pods sticking around the house, but you can get yourself, obviously, just vanilla essence. You don't have to get an actual pod. Today, though, I went whole hog, and I've got myself a vanilla pod. Let's scrape out that pod. I think that's pretty much everything for our ingredients. Again, we're going to blend all this together. Right, we're starting to get something that looks much more like a mousse at this point. But at this point, you know, you can't always just follow the exact ingredients, so we'll have a little taste. And I do feel, you know, because I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, I feel like I could use just a little bit extra vanilla. And actually, just to kind of add a little bit of texture and flavour, I'm going to put a bit of coconut in there as well. Obviously, you can just do this yourself to flavour. I'm going to try that. Okay. Yes, I double dipped. Don't tell anyone. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good now. I think we got it. Then, if you're making a video, you should always have all your stuff here. Clearly I don't, so I'm going to grab something else. One of these bad boys. Don't need specifically, but it's always good because then you don't have to scrape the plastic along with the chocolate into your cake. And it's always nice not to be eating plastic, so here we go. This then gets dumped uncaringly, but it is actually with caringly, because what I like when I'm doing one of these cakes, it's just to have it all kind of like slathered on, so it looks a bit rustic, you know, like a house that you've come across in the country which hasn't been lived in for years, but it's still got that old-fashioned beauty to it, right? Because I quite like this idea of just, you know, this cake that like your half-blind grandmother has made. And that's the look that I'm going for. You can go for the proper chef's look if you want. That's why I've still got a few bits of like unblended avocado and things. I really like the, just the kind of raw nature of this. Now here we go. Again, at this point is where we get to the decoration. Decoration, you can do a few things. You can do one, which is you can do like a little sprinkle, like you've had a small amount of snow on a winter's day, right? Or you can also do just a few almonds, just sliced almonds. I like to do both, just because I'm a bit OTT, and boom! There we go. We've got our finished product. This product then is going to go in the fridge for 20 minutes. So we'll put that in. I'll get back to you in 20 minutes time. Okay, now you've got your cake out of the fridge or freezer. If you're in a rush and you want to go some Speedy Gonzales kind of things, put it in the freezer. That'll be ready even quicker. Now at this point, if you have a cake tin, it's beautiful. You can just pop it open. It's all done. Slice it all up. If you don't have a cake tin, then you have to do what I like to call the chopping board jig. It's a working title, it might get better, put their suggestions below. So anyway, the chopping board jig, we're first going to use our knife, which we'll be cutting the cake with shortly, so you're not dirtying too much. And I'm going to just kind of pry it away from the sides so it's not sticking too much. Obviously throughout this you're trying not to scrape or scratch the tin itself. I'd rather not be eating the Teflon or whatever else this is coated with. I don't think it is Teflon, but it's coated with something that I'm sure I don't want to put into my cake. So once we've done some prying, one last corner of prying to do, then we do some wacky wackies. So this gets whacked onto the top. This is going to do the jig part, and then we get some hope and pray, so obviously fingers crossed that this all works out, and it should do. Boom! Okay, now we have some extra stuff there, don't worry, that extra stuff is going to get used. And then we have a pretty chopping board. This is the wood chopping board, which I do think is a little bit prettier. That goes on top. Second part of the jig comes into play. Some crumbs go flying, but that's alright. What's a crumb between friends? And here, because obviously we're going to be serving this to other people, we are going to use the extra wee bits that we've got here. And we're going to use these as some like plastic surgeon, you know, or a cake surgeon I suppose it should be. Doing a little bit of reconstructive cake surgery to get our crust back on into place. Needn't be perfect, but let's put it back where it should be. No one need ever know. Okay, and then boom, boom, booms. Finished product. There we go. Obviously, we're going to do one of these, the taste test, which every show needs to do. Now, this will actually go around about 8 people, or unless you're me and my partner, 2 people. This cake, though, because it is obviously vegan and ridiculously healthy, you can actually eat half of it and still feel pretty good. However, today, because we do have some guests coming later, I'm going to slice it into 8. So from here, we do the little slicey, slicey, and slicey. Whoops, a daisy. Slicey. There is no need to say slicey as you're slicing the cake. It's only a bit awkward when you're cooking and talking to yourself that I feel like I have to add in the old slicey sounds. But at this point, we're going to do platey. So, and spoony, if I have a spoon. That joke has like died dead in the water. I don't even have to have my audience here to realise that there's just hay balls rolling around in front of your screen. So yeah, no more slices. So there we go. Platey, slicey, spoony, and we're going to go tasty. And I said I wouldn't use the joke again, but I did. But here we go. Let's have a taste test. Obviously, at this point, I need to say it's good. This is obvious. I mean, I would say this even if I was eating Bill's balls. That's the rule of programming when you're doing stuff. But I'm going to try and be honest here. So we do a taste. Actually, I'll get that to the camera. And right, I mean, you don't even have to lie. That is good stuff. So I'm going to make myself some coffee. Have a coffee, have a sit down, have a bite of cake, and you have a great day. Bye-bye. You have been watching 21st Century Survivor. If you want to see more videos like this, or just be a nice guy, then please like and subscribe.